Hi everybody, welcome to Canvas Kids this week. I'm Miss Cindy, and this week we are going to be painting a butterfly. Now I'm not going to show you the entire thing because it's going to be up to you what colors you want to use where. This is the colors that I chose and where I put them. You could do whatever you want. You could use the colors that I gave you, or if you have your own paint at home, you have leftovers from a previous class, and you want to use different colors, feel free to do that. It's your butterfly, and I want you to paint it how you want it. I will tell you, give you some help though, is it's best to paint the lighter colors first, and then go back with the darker colors. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint my yellow first because it's a light color. The last one I did this part in yellow, this time I'm going to do this part. So try to stay in the lines the best you can, but when you do the lighter colors first, sometimes if you went over the lines, you'll be able to hide it depending on what color is going to be next to it. If it's a nice dark color that will hide it, it'll be great. So I am going to do this part in yellow. And see, I went over the line there accidentally. Yeah, I'll go over the line sometimes. So just do your best painting it. Like I said, you can use different colors. If you have other paint at home you'd prefer to use those colors, go right ahead. You don't have to do them in the same order I did them here. Okay, I've got that side done. Now I'm going to do this side. But I do recommend painting both sides of your butterfly the same colors, because it looks kind of silly if your sides don't copy each other. It would look funny if one of the wings were orange and one of the wings were yellow. I never saw a butterfly like that before. So I'm going a little quicker here, and I am going over the lines quite a bit, but it's okay. Like I said, if you start with the lighter ones, and I also have an armful of yellow paint now, so I dipped it into the butterfly. Okay, I'm going to turn this so I can reach it better, and I won't have an armful of yellow paint, I hope. Okay, so once that part is done, my lightest color is done, I am going to go on to my next color. And this time I have decided to do it orange in the middle. So I'm kind of reversing the last one. So I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to paint it in here. And I should have started on the other side, not done the same side because I didn't give it a chance to dry. Try to give your paint time to dry in between steps so you don't smear all your colors. But that's another reason why we start with the lighter colors and work our way to the darker colors. So won't show up as bad if we do smear them together, because the orange would cover up the yellow because it's dark enough. But if I were to do it the other way, it wouldn't. If I did the orange first and then did the yellow, and if I went over the lines, the yellow is not going to hide the orange that I went over the lines, because the yellow is much lighter than the orange. But see how it covered up the yellow that I had there that I went over the line with? That's why we do the lighter colors first, and then we work our way to the darker colors. Oops, missed some spots. Missed another spot. All right. Now I'm going to do this one. Use whatever brush works best for you, whatever kind of brushes you have. Remember, everybody doesn't have the same kind. In fact, the ones I usually have, I left at home and usually use those, but today I just have the ones that I have at work. So I have different brushes now than when I painted it to begin with. Sometimes it works better to outline the stuff first, but you do it however it's easiest for you. Now I noticed when I traced this, my line went over, so I'm actually going to make it bigger than what it was. Because sometimes my tracing paper moves on me while I'm tracing. Alright, so now I've chosen those two colors and where they're going to go. You also, I didn't give you guys white, but if you need to lighten any of your colors up and you have leftover white at home, you could do that as well. So now I'm going to do my purple. I'm not going to paint my background today just because that takes so long to do it for you guys to wait for me to do it. But I would, if your background is darker, I would definitely do your background last. So I would paint your butterfly first and then paint your background around your butterfly last until your butterfly is all done. And I kept the darker colors for the body because I wanted his wings to look the prettiest. I also, this butterfly didn't have a face on it when I painted it, but if you want to add a face, you can. Sometimes it's hard to add a face on something so dark, and since his head was dark, it was black, it might be a little harder to see it, but if you want to do it, go right ahead. It's up to you. It's your butterfly. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, and I'm going to use the dark purple in here. And see how, even though I'm not necessarily staying in the lines, I'm hiding the orange when I go over it because the purple's so dark. So if you did mess up, you could probably fix it with the dark color so nobody will know you messed up. this. And if you want to add any other decoration to your butterfly, other than just the spots on him, you can. Same thing with the background. If you want to have a background that's got some pattern to it or anything, you want to change it, go right ahead. Okay, so we've got that all painted in. I'm going to go back and add the black. This is the trickier part. I should have chosen the smaller of the brushes I have. But remember, you're using the darkest colors last, because you can hide up any mistakes you might have made with the lighter colors. Of course, if you make any mistakes with the darker colors, you can't really cover them up. But I'm sure you're doing fine. I know everybody goes out of the line sometimes. Oops. See, my orange was still wet and it just smeared, but I can cover it up. Now you can't see the orange where it's smeared. All right. I find the hardest thing to paint are circles. Remember, when you paint the circle, try to keep it rounded like the line. Okay? So there's my butterfly. Oops, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do this real quick. Now, if I were to spend the time to do the entire background right now, I'm just going to start it off and show you what I do. Try to paint it nice and thin. See, if you paint it thin enough, if you use the color I gave you, you can still see the line for where the antennas are. But you got to keep it nice and thin. And right here's the tricky part. You need a really skinny brush to get in there. You might want to try painting with the background color, then going back and painting his head. If it's easier for you, you might want to try to do his head last then, because the head would probably, if you're going to stick with it being black, which I kind of would, because normally that's what color the bug's head would be. So if you spread this out nice and thin, you should still be able to see the lines underneath for where the antennas are. Do this part before you paint the head in, wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm going to paint this much just to show you, and then I'm going to go back with the black and a skinny brush. This is a skinny brush, but it's kind of an old one, so it kind of sticks out a lot. Sometimes, at least when you get the paint on it, if you roll it in the paint and keep it flat, sometimes you can get it all put back together a little bit. So my antennas. There we go, one antenna. So just like that. You can also, when you're all done painting your butterfly, once you got all the background done, remember I didn't do the whole background, just wanted to show you part of it so I could get the antennas in. But if you feel like it, and if you can paint really neat, you can take a skinny brush and you can go back through and you can outline the body just to get it like a nice smooth end. You can kind of even it out with that. See how it kind of smoothed it out that way? And if you also want to, if you can do it nice and skinny, or you could use a Sharpie marker when it is completely dry, you could go back through and you can outline the other parts of the butterfly, like around the different colors. So you could like separate where the lines are and do that one. Follow along. See how you can do that part? You can make a line around there, or you could even just go all the way around the whole wing like this. But you don't have to. It's just kind of an extra touch if you want to do it. It's all up to you. Sometimes it kind of looks good if you do that. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. I would recommend doing it around the body if you used more than one color, just to smooth out the edges that way. That seemed to work out good. All right, and that is going to be it. So when you're all done, whatever colors you used, you'll have it all painted. Make sure you don't leave any white spots. So whatever colors you use, make sure at least you cover everything, okay? All right, thanks for coming, and I will see you next week when we paint a panda. Bye.